Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to try and sort through some of the more interesting AI news from November.
Oh, yeah, there's been a lot.
A ton. Like AI is everywhere now, but how much is really like progress and how much of it's just hype, you know?
Right.
So we've got like a whole stack of articles and research papers, even some kind of like inside scoops, hopefully enough to get through the noise and figure out what's actually important. So what's jumped out at you so far?
So, one thing that really struck me is this whole shift away from bigger is better in AI. For years, everyone thought just make the models bigger, just throw more data at it, just throw more
hmm
computing power at it. And that's the path to like true AI.
Yeah, that's what we've seen with all the big language models,
Yeah.
GPT and all that.
Right, exactly. And it's interesting because even OpenAI is starting to find that that's maybe not the case anymore. There's an article about their development of their next big model, Orion, and it seems like even with a lot more resources, the performance improvements just aren't as dramatic as they used to be.
So it's not just about scaling up anymore. That's pretty big news
Mm-hmm.
if all the massive models are hitting a ceiling.
Yeah, and it seems like the focus is shifting from like the initial training phase to what happens after the model's been trained.
Okay,
Go
so what kind of post-training stuff are we talking about?
Well, things like reinforcement learning, where the AI can kind of learn from feedback loops and get better over time. It's kind of like training a pet, You don't just show them a trick once and they've got it.
Right.
You have to give them feedback. You have to refine the technique.
That's a good analogy. So it's less about that initial just flood of information and more about the ongoing refinement and learning from mistakes and all that.
Exactly. And that ties into this idea of test time compute, which basically means that even after the AI has been trained, it can still spend more time thinking to refine its response.
So it's not just like spitting out the first thing that comes to mind. It's actually taking a second to kind of pause and consider and
Right.
weigh different options.
It's like giving the AI a moment to reflect or even, challenge its own assumptions
Yep.
before it gives an answer.
I know I could use some test time compute sometimes. But seriously, that's a really interesting shift in how we're thinking about AI. It's not just raw processing power anymore.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. It's becoming more about intelligence and adaptability. And one great example of that is the QWQ model that we read about. It was specifically designed to challenge its own assumptions and kind of think through its own reasoning process.
So less about just finding the right answer and more about being able to explain why it thinks that's the right answer.
Exactly, exactly. It's a much more nuanced and introspective approach, which, signals a really big change in how we're thinking about AI. But it's not all theoretical. A lot of these advancements are starting to have real world impacts.
So give me an example. Where are we seeing like these smarter AI systems being used out in the real world?
So one example that I thought was really interesting is this company called Glean, and they built an AI powered search tool for businesses. Think Google search, but instead of searching the entire internet, it searches all of your company's internal data.
Okay, so like emails and documents, spreadsheets, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, everything like messages, even across different apps. A lot of companies are really struggling with these like data silos where information's just scattered everywhere, and it's basically impossible to find.
Oh, tell me about it.
So Glean can kind of break down those
So
walls.
it's like a universal translator for all that like messy, disorganized data.
Yeah, exactly. And what's really interesting is it's caught the attention of some big names like Google and OpenAI.
So what makes it so special? What are they seeing in Glean?
It's what they call their connector technology. You know, most companies have, tons of data, but it's all locked away in these different systems that don't talk to each other. So Glean can actually bridge those gaps and kind of connect the dots between all these different data sources.
So it's not just that it can search across all this data, but it can actually understand the relationships between all these different pieces of information.
Right, exactly. And that's a huge part of why Glean is so powerful and why it's causing such a stir. It's really showing that AI can be used to solve real world problems that have been plaguing businesses for years. And it's not just search tools either. Companies are starting to realize that AI can actually handle tasks that used to require really expensive specialized software.
So AI is not just a cool new toy, but it's actually a practical tool that can save companies money and make them more efficient.
Absolutely, and we're seeing that play out with Salesforce and their huge investment in their AI platform, Agentforce AI. They're basically betting the farm on AI being the future of business.
Wow, that's a bold move.
Yeah, it's incredibly competitive right now. Their CEO has even publicly kind of challenged Microsoft's Copilot, saying, their approach isn't the right way to go. It's really interesting to see how much jostling there is for position in the AI world.
A little bit of drama. I love it. Um, but speaking of pushing the boundaries, one of the articles we came across was about this model, Ken 2.5 Turbo.
Yeah.
And this thing can handle a mind-boggling amount of information, right?
Yeah, pushing the limits of what AI can process and understand. It's like superhuman reading comprehension.
Like the article mentioned, it can process the equivalent of 10 novels. That's crazy.
It is, but it's not just about, taking in all that information. It's about what the AI can do with it.
Right.
And that's what we saw with the Forge Reasoning API, which
Right.
takes a very different approach to problem solving.
Right.
It's about combining multiple AI models and techniques, kind of like assembling a team of specialists, each with their own
So
expertise.
instead of like one AI, it's like a whole brain trust working together.
Exactly, and this kind of collaborative approach is unlocking some really incredible advances in problem solving and decision making, even in creative fields. And it's not just about making AI smarter. It's also about making it more natural and intuitive to interact with. We're seeing this with Ultravox, which is really moving us beyond like clunky text-based interactions toward a more natural voice interface.
So you're saying like we can actually have a conversation with an AI that feels as natural as like talking to another person?
That's the goal. Yeah. Ultravox is really designed to deliver a much more fluid and seamless experience.
So like voice assistants that can actually understand complex requests or customer service bots that can actually provide personalized support
Mm.
or even interactive entertainment that feels truly immersive.
Exactly.
It's amazing. But what really caught my eye was this thing called the Model Context Protocol,
Yeah.
MCP, and
Mhm.
it's all about connecting AI assistants to the real world.
Oh yeah, that's really interesting. MCP is designed to address one of the biggest limitations of AI right now, which is its isolation. Most AI is limited to the data that it's trained on, but MCP allows AI to actually tap into external data sources and systems in real time.
So it can access up-to-date information from like the
Uh,
real world, which
Yeah.
makes it much more relevant and useful.
Right, yeah. So, imagine an AI assistant that can access your company's sales data, customer profiles, your personal calendar, all to provide really personalized insights and support.
It's like AI's finally breaking free from its like digital bubble and stepping out into the real world. That's
Mhm.
a whole other level of integration.
Right. And then there's this other tool called OmniParser, which
Ooh.
is it's really all about giving AI the ability to, see and interact with graphical user interfaces,
Yeah.
GUIs, just like, a human would.
So the AI can actually understand what's happening on a screen? Like
Yeah.
it can see the icons and the buttons?
Yeah. Instead of giving the AI like step-by-step instructions, you can actually show it what to do and it figures out how to use the software just by, looking at the screen.
That's incredible. So AI that can like learn by observation, not just by like being fed data.
Exactly. And that has enormous potential for things like task automation, especially, repetitive, time-consuming tasks.
So data entry, filling out forms, even guiding users through complex software applications.
Hmm.
So we're seeing smarter algorithms, more intuitive interfaces, and this incredible push toward integrating AI seamlessly into our uh, digital lives.
Yeah.
What about the physical world? Is AI having an impact there too?
Oh, definitely. Robotics is a huge area where AI is starting to really shine. And, we're not talking about like clunky factory robots anymore. We're talking about robots that can, perform delicate surgery, assist with disaster relief efforts, even provide, companionship and care for the elderly.
That's wild.
It really does feel like AI is poised to, to transform every aspect of our lives from the way we work to the way we interact with, with the world around us. But, with all of these advancements and possibilities, it's also important to consider the impact that AI will have on society,
Hmm.
and how do we ensure that it's developed and used responsibly? That's something we'll definitely dive into more deeply in the next part of our deep dive. We'll explore the potential impact of AI on jobs and some of the ethical questions we need to be asking as this technology continues to evolve.
That's a conversation I'm definitely looking forward to. This has been an incredible overview of just how much is happening in the AI world. It seems like every day there's news of some new breakthrough or some new application.
It's a fascinating time to be following this field for sure. As we were talking about all these advancements, I kept thinking about that article about Elon Musk's XAI. Like they're investing billions of dollars in NVIDIA chips for a new data center, something like 100,000 of them.
100,000 chips? Wow. That's a crazy amount of computing power. Even with the slowing improvement rates we talked about, it seems like the competition in AI is still pretty intense.
Yeah, it feels like an arms race almost. Everybody's just trying to build the most powerful AI.
Yeah.
Access to resources like these chips and the infrastructure to support them is becoming a huge factor.
Makes you wonder what they're planning to do with all that power,
Yeah.
What kind of breakthroughs are they after?
Right. And it seems like all these advancements in hardware and infrastructure are going to lead to like models that are far more, sophisticated than anything we have today.
Yeah. Like we're on a cusp of something totally new, you
Right.
know, driven by these smarter algorithms
Hmm.
and this crazy amount of power.
Right.
And speaking of competition, that Copilot Arena article we saw really highlighted this. It's about this platform where they're basically having AI coding assistants duke it out in a coding gladiator arena. Yeah.
Right. And it's not just about accuracy anymore. They're evaluating speed, efficiency, even user experience with all these different coding
It's like
assistants.
finding the best partner, not just the best coder.
Right, exactly. And it's interesting because it turned out that some of the general purpose AI models, like Claude from Anthropic, they were actually outperforming models that were specifically designed for coding.
So these AI models are becoming like incredibly versatile, able to handle all sorts of different tasks, even like surpassing specialized AI in some cases.
It seems that way. The article also highlighted the importance of context length when it comes to AI coding. This Copilot Arena, they used much longer chunks of code than those typical benchmark tests. So it's closer to what developers actually work with in the real world.
So it's not just about like writing a few lines of code. It's about understanding and working with, entire programs.
Exactly. And that connects back to what we were talking about before about those models like Qwen 2.5 Turbo that can handle those much longer contexts.
Yeah, it seems like being able to process and understand, just huge amounts of information is going to be crucial for those, really intelligent AI systems.
Right. This reminds me of that Improve Your Prompts article. All about prompt engineering, which, I don't know, kind of sounds like learning to speak AI.
It's a good way to put it. It's
Yeah.
all about uh, crafting, effective instructions or prompts to get the AI to do what you want it to do.
Right, exactly. So it's not just about, telling the AI what you want. It's about communicating with it in a way that it understands.
Yeah.
And the article talked about things like chain of thought reasoning, which is basically where you kind of guide the AI through the thought process step by step.
Like giving it a roadmap to follow, make sure it stays on track and actually delivers what you need.
Right. And using specific examples can be really powerful too. It just gives the AI a much clearer picture of what you're looking for.
Yeah. It's interesting how we're having to like develop all these communication strategies to interact with AI more effectively.
It is.
And the article talked about some tools that can help with this. Like there's a prompt improver that actually uses AI to like refine your prompts.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's pretty meta when you think about it, like an AI assistant for your AI
Yeah,
assistant.
exactly.
But it can save you a lot of time and effort, especially if you're dealing with a really complicated task.
Right. So, switching gears a little bit, one of the things that caught my eye was that article about the Pixar Large model, this multimodal AI, Pixrol Large. So, what exactly does multimodal mean when we're talking about AI?
So a multimodal AI is designed to work with different types of data simultaneously. Not just text or just images, but text, images, and potentially audio all at the same time.
Okay. So, instead of having like a separate AI for understanding text and another one for understanding images, this can understand and process information from all these different sources
Yeah.
altogether.
Exactly.
That's impressive. So it's like an AI that can see and read and maybe even hear all at the same time.
All right.
What kind of potential does that open up?
It's the possibilities are really exciting. The article highlighted how well Pixrol Large performs on those benchmark tests. It can understand documents, charts, regular images, and it doesn't it doesn't compromise its text comprehension at all.
So like an AI that can analyze financial reports
Yeah.
or pull insights from scientific papers
Mm.
or even create content that combines like text and images
Mhm.
and maybe even sound.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
that's
It
wild.
is. And what's interesting is that it's built on top of Mistral Large 2,
Hmm.
which is this really advanced text model that was also recently updated.
Oh, okay.
So it seems like Mistral AI is really focusing on developing a whole set of AI models, each with their own strength that can be combined and customized for all sorts of applications.
So flexibility and adaptability,
Yeah.
which is really important, as people are demanding more and more from these AI systems.
Right. Speaking of adapting to different tasks, that PR Puppet Sora article really stood out to me. It can actually assist with public relations
Oh,
tasks.
that's right. Like it can actually generate press releases and things like that.
Exactly. It helps PR professionals work more efficiently.
So instead of like spending hours writing from scratch, they can use this AI tool to just kind of get a solid first draft.
Right.
And it can even yeah, help identify key messages and things like that.
Yeah. It can even help with targeting the right audience and distributing those press releases. So it's like having an AI assistant that takes care of all those kind of tedious parts of PR, so the professionals can focus on the strategy and the creativity.
Yeah. That's pretty valuable in today's media landscape where everything's
Yeah.
so fast-paced it seems like.
Yeah. It helps PR teams, work smarter, not harder.
Right.
We're seeing AI really change the game in those kind of creative fields too. It's really interesting. But, with all these advancements from models that can, process massive amounts of data to AI that can write and even do PR, it makes you wonder where this is all headed.
Yeah.
What does the future hold for AI?
Yeah, it's important to remember that AI isn't some like distant concept anymore. It's already here, and it's having a real impact on our lives,
Mm.
and that's both incredibly exciting, and it also presents some challenges that we need to address.
Right. We can't just, get caught up in the excitement of new technology without considering its impact on society and the ethical implications of its development.
That's a great point, and a perfect segue into the final part of our deep dive, where we'll delve deeper into those ethical considerations and the potential impact of AI on the job market and what role we all play in shaping the future of AI.
Mm.
So we've talked about a lot in this deep dive, massive AI models, AI tools that can write code, even help with PR.
It's incredible how fast this field is moving and how much AI is already a part of, our daily lives.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think as we move forward, it's important to think about some of the bigger implications of all this. Like one of the things I hear a lot about is the impact of AI on jobs,
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of anxiety around AI and automation.
right? People are worried that robots are going to take over
Yeah.
and we'll all be out of work.
Right. And it's a valid concern. It's
Mhm.
important to acknowledge that AI will probably automate certain jobs and tasks.
Right.
But AI is also creating new opportunities,
Yeah.
opening up whole new fields like AI development, data science,
Yeah.
and probably others that we haven't even thought of yet.
So it's not so much AI versus humans. It's
Yeah.
more like finding ways for humans and AI to work together.
Right. Like, AI can handle the repetitive tasks, the data heavy stuff, and that frees up humans to focus on things like creativity and strategy and, interpersonal
It's
skill.
about using AI to kind of like augment our abilities, not replace us.
Exactly. And as AI continues to evolve, it's important for us to adapt as well, stay informed, understand how these changes might affect us, and be ready to embrace the opportunities.
It's not about being afraid of AI. It's about understanding it and
Right.
figuring out how we can use it to our advantage. And beyond, on the job market, I think we really need to talk about the ethical implications of all this.
Mhm.
As AI becomes more powerful and more integrated into our lives, how do we make sure that it's developed and used responsibly?
That's a great question. Building AI systems that are, fair and transparent and accountable. That's absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
So, carefully considering the data that's used to train these systems,
Right.
working to mitigate bias, establishing, clear guidelines and regulations to promote, ethical AI development.
So it's not just about the technology itself, it's about the values that we build into it.
Yeah.
We have to make sure that AI is used to create a more equitable society, not one that makes existing problems worse.
Exactly. We need to be having these conversations, open and honest conversations about AI and its impact. And
Yeah.
we need those conversations to include, a wide range of perspectives and voices, make sure that AI benefits everyone, not just, a select few.
Well, this deep dive has been quite a journey for sure. We've talked about the advancements and the opportunities and the challenges uh, in this crazy AI-driven world that we're living in now.
Yeah, it really feels like we're at a turning point.
Yeah, like AI has the potential to completely reshape, the way we work, the way we live, the way we interact with
It's
everything.
an exciting time.
It is.
Transformative, but it's also a time that calls for, careful consideration, responsible stewardship,
Right.
because the future of AI isn't, set in stone.
The choices we make today, the conversations we have, that they're going to shape the direction of AI and its impact on the world.
It's a responsibility we all share. Developers, researchers, policymakers, everyday citizens, we all have a role to play.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'll leave you with this. What role do you want to play in shaping the future of AI? It's a big question, something to think about as we navigate this uncharted territory. Keep exploring, keep asking those tough questions, and keep pushing the boundaries. Until next time, stay curious, everyone.